You're listening to Psych with Mike, and the most important way to support the show is to find us on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. So no matter how you listen to Psych with Mike, find us on YouTube, smash the subscribe button, and we really appreciate it. Now, here's Psych with Mike. Welcome to the Psych with Mike Library. This is Dr. Michael Mahan.
And I'm Brett Newcomb.
How are you?
I'm good.
Oh, you were going to say that. I should have let you.
I was going to say something I really want to talk about today. It's more mine than it is traditionally clinical, and that is how do we articulate the difference, and how do we help clients to incorporate the difference between the words remorse and guilt.
Right.
I believe that language matters.
Yeah.
Probably more than anything else we do in therapy is teach people that language they hear in their head matters. And one of the words that people in their head hear in their head regularly is should.
Right.
I should do this. I should not do that. As if they don't have the power to make the decision. It's already predetermined and set. You should go to church on Sunday. Mm-hmm. You should pay your bills. You should wash your car. And you can make the decision of, I'm not going to pay this bill this month because I don't have enough money to pay all of them. So this one I won't pay. Then you have to live with the consequences of that. But you hear it and you feel it and you ruminate over it and you get distressed about it and it plays around and around in circles in your head. I should. And so when I have clients that are shouldistic and the conversation that I hear them use constantly is one of shoulds that they hear in their heads. Mm-hmm. I try to teach them that, and this is mine, I just want to lay it out there and then you can respond to it. I try to teach them there are two kinds of shoulds. Mm-hmm. There are the have to shoulds and there are the choose to shoulds. And the way I try to explain that is as if there were a tape deck in your head where you have two messages. And one of them is the message that you heard as an infant from your parents, your church, your school teachers, your ball coaches, whoever. These are the musts and the shoulds by which you live.
And so those would be your have-to shoulds.
They would be your have-to. It's not an optional. You don't get to think about it. You don't get to decide it. You don't get to pick it. This is just the way that society expects you to behave or think or see the world. So you have to do this. And if you don't, you're going to hell. You're going to be punished. The world's going to come to an end. It's a disaster, and that's all on you because you were a bad boy. So, and then your parents will say things like, you're a bad boy. Not you did a bad thing, but you're a bad boy. And you hear that, and you internalize that, and your worldview of yourself becomes a negative one. So that is what I call guilt. The guilt script is a script that was written for you by someone else. Very frequently, a church, trying to model you into behaviors that they find to be saintly as opposed to behaviors that they find to be sin-based. So if you commit these acts, they're wrong acts and you're going to be punished. God's going to, years in purgatory or years in hell. Or you can be a good boy and not ever do this. And so whenever you're tempted, it's the devil. Slap yourself and slap the devil and say, don't drink, don't smoke, don't wear makeup, don't go out with boys, whatever it is that they're trying to tell you. So the other tape is what I call the integrity tape. So you have the have to shoulds and the choose to shoulds. The choose to comes from the sense of personal integrity. They both are requirements. It's a requirement imposed on me to behave a certain way. My integrity tape says, in order to be the person that I want to be, I need to act this way. In order to be a good husband, I need to come home at night with my paycheck and pay the bills of the household so that my wife and children have a safe place to live and are provided for. To do that means I have to get up and go to work. I don't want to go to work today. I want to lay around and take the day off. It's a sunny day. Or I want to go hunting or whatever. But my little should voice in my head says, oh, you have to go to work because you should bring home that paycheck this week because you have bills to pay so that your kid can eat. When your little kid looks at you and says, Daddy, I'm hungry, and you got nothing, can you imagine what that feels like? So the behavior that we're describing can be the same behavior. You should behave this way. What's the driving force of the message? Is it coming from personal integrity? The person I want to be requires me to behave this way. Or is it coming from the you'll go to hell script of the have to should? You have to do this. You don't have a choice. You have to do this or you'll go to hell. Bad things will happen. So I see clients struggling with that or trapped in that all the time because they're trapped in the have to shoulds. They're limited in their options. They experience the world as not having options because a Catholic woman says, I can't get a divorce. No matter how bad my husband is, for me and the family, the church says I can't get a divorce. It's sinful. I'll go to hell. And I don't want to attack Catholicism, and I don't want to attack the importance of a church membership and a belief system, but I do believe ultimately the individual can be more at peace inside if they learn to make that choice, not a have to should, but a choose to should. You can shift the interpretation. You can shift the source of the messaging. You still do the same behavior. You do not get a divorce for reasons that you find acceptable for your integrity. To be the woman I want to be, the mother I want to be, requires me to behave this way, at least until the kids are out of school, or at least until whatever. And then you can revisit that choice.
Right.
So I see remorse and guilt. Remorse is the bad feeling I have when I don't do what my integrity sense says I should do. Guilt is the message I hear when I don't do what my script told me to do, that was written by others.
So guilt is the result of the have to shoulds.
Yes.
Remorse is the result of the choose to shoulds.
Yes, so the failure to make that distinction and act differently.
And I don't think that I have any disagreement with that whatsoever.
Okay.
My question would be, where do you conceptualize, because I agree with you 100%, language is super, super, super important. Maybe the most important, because we think in terms of language. And so even just a little shift in the language that we use makes a profound difference
so
in
what
how
I
we
try to teach
behave.
them when they hear a should in their head is to erase the word should and say will or won't.
Yeah.
I will go to work today, or I won't go to work today. Make a decision. Don't ruminate.
So then that makes it a choose to should.
Exactly.
Okay. And then you feel like that the choose to shoulds are healthier than the have to shoulds.
Absolutely.
Okay. So then my question then is, where is shame?
Shame comes from messaging from others, but it also comes from messaging for yourself because you didn't follow the have to should. And again, it involves a word change. If I say I will or I won't, sorry about that.
No, the duck, man, he's alive and well.
It's election time, and I'm getting 5 million messages from every political candidate in every state in the union because my name is on a list somewhere.
Is that a have to should or a choose to should?
It's a choose to should. I like to play in that world.
Then my conceptualization of guilt and shame is this, and I want to check with you if you agree or how you would reframe what I'm going to say. So guilt is whether the messages are internal or external. Depends on whether or not you carry it around with you, right?
Right.
So we've talked about the parental introjection.
Yeah, you can try to put it on me, project it on me, and I can say, no, bull, that's yours.
But we have a lot of things
from inside.
Yeah. And so then if I hear the message of my mother that feels, because I've introjected that, and now it feels like that message is coming from inside of me, that could be internal, right? Yeah. So guilt is when you have done something bad. You are told that you have done something
I've been told
bad.
is bad. Yeah.
Shame is when you believe that you're bad. Is that?
Yes.
You would agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so the difference between guilt and shame is whether your behavior is bad or whether you are bad.
Yeah, you separate yourself. There's self, and then there's behavior as a separate quality. If my sense of self is that I am bad, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm not capable, I'm not whatever. Nothing I can do about that. It's just I'm screwed. I don't know why. I didn't choose to be bad. It didn't, but I am apparently bad. I was told growing up, you're too stupid to go to college. I want to go to college. I want to go to college. I want to have this career. I want to do that. And my family would say, well, you're too stupid to go to college. And they'd all laugh like they'd said something funny, or my desire and belief that I could go to college was a ridiculous thing. And they'd all laugh and be looking at me like, idiot. Well, you take that on. and you internalize it. For me, it's one of the times when I use anger in a positive way. It made me angry that they saw me that way, and I was like, I'm going to show you that you're wrong, and no matter what it takes, I'm going to get a college education. But that's a different conversation for a different day. I didn't wear that sense of shame.
Right.
But in my culture, I grew up in a southern town in the 1950s. Racial mixing was not possible. My high school was not integrated. My neighborhood was not integrated. Families didn't integrate. So we lived, and I don't know what you know about southern towns in the 1950s, but the railroad tracks through town is often a divider for status.
So why you're on the wrong side of the tracks.
My house was on the last white street before Little Dixie, which was the black neighborhood, started. In between my street and their street was railroad tracks. So status-wise, you could see visually on the map, I was the lowest status in the white community because of where I lived. And I took some solace in knowing that I was higher than in status the people who lived on the other side of the tracks who happened to be black. So that becomes an internalized message, an internalized script. And it's one that I had to fight for years to get out of my head. That you are better than someone because of their color. You are not as good as someone because of their wealth. You can define who you are and how you choose to live based on how you behave and what your script is.
So I think you're answering my question.
Yeah.
But so you're saying that we can transform the have to should into a choose to should. So we can transform the guilt into remorse by changing the language from should or shouldn't to will or won't.
Yeah.
Is there a way to do that with shame?
I think it just happens automatically. I haven't thought this through.
Okay.
But I think if I'm successful in transforming the original set, the subset follows along.
Okay. So you can do but you believe that it is possible to transform shame or to abolish shame by relearning
there's
scripts.
Another phraseology that I want to change. I take the word responsibility. It's your fault. You're responsible for this. The way you spell it, IBLE, to response able. I am able to respond. I can choose a response. There are multiple paths out here. I get to pick the one I'm going to walk on, as opposed to I'm driven down this road by my script.
So we're changing the language on the choose to shoulds from will and won't, from should, shouldn't to will, won't. We
to
change
an empowered word, I am response able.
Right. So then with shame, we can do the same thing by changing it from responsible to response able.
Yes.
Because that gives us a choice. That puts us in power, in control. Yeah. Okay. I see that.
That's like in The Handmaid's Tale when they say women will wear this outfit. And any woman who doesn't wear this outfit is a shameful hussy, and she's going to hell, and she's going to be punished. Women can make those choices, but for generations they were not empowered to make those choices. In order to be acceptable within the community, you had to dress and behave according to the script that was written for you by the have-to shoulds.
Right.
You can make your own choices.
Right.
You can wear your own clothes. You can get your own makeup. Unless you live in a community that doesn't allow for that. And if you do, then I want to be respectful of that. But I do want to give you the message, it still comes down to being your choice. If you choose to be a member of this community, it comes with the responsibility for making these choices.
Right.
And so my question is, can you be at peace with that?
And that was going to be my next question, because if we take out of The Handmaid's Tale and put it in modern society, and we say the hijab. So if women don't want to wear the hijab, then they should be given What's the consequence? But if you believe that there is a reason within the context of Islam that you wear the hijab, that's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay for you.
Well, it's entirely possible to say, there are things I don't know, and I accept that my elders and my leaders have more wisdom and knowledge than I do, and I will follow their guidance, even if I don't understand it, even if I don't like it. It needs to be done.
But it's important that people recognize you still have done the same thing. You've taken a have to should and made it a choose to should.
Right, so that you don't see yourself as bad because you had a bad thought, a bad desire. Jimmy Carter is famous for having said, if he looked at Playboy and felt lust in his heart, it was the same as if he had committed adultery.
Mm-hmm.
He believed that.
Mm-hmm.
I can respect the fact that he believed that, and I hope that he never picked up a Playboy, because there's no reason to trigger that whole debate in your head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't happen to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
I look at one and say the female form is beautiful, and I like to see it.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean I'm going to go do something with it,
Mm-hmm.
but I can appreciate it.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
Melania Trump just put out an ad saying that I wrote a book and I'm talking about the beauty of the female form, and I'm showing it using myself as an example.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like that, there's something wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
so
that act.
Jimmy Carter, Melania Trump, do you understand?
Yeah. The
Feed both sides of the discussion.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
right.
And the
Amen.
Melania Trump conversation is a whole. That could be a whole different show, but my experience in doing therapy is that most of us live under the thumb of our shame and our have to shoulds.
Absolutely. And I would suggest you that
And we've
many of
never
us are
even
more comfortable
considered
that way.
right, because the pain
we
of the
know
known
how to behave.
is better than the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And we've never even considered, a lot of clients, a lot of people have never even considered that there is another option.
Well, yeah, because they automatically assume if I'm not comfortable with that, it's because something's wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one that's broken. The system obviously is right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if that's where they are, then you have to start to say, okay. Well, for instance,
Well, can I say something?
Yeah.
I go back to what you talked about with your family and telling you that you weren't smart enough to go to school. And this is a place where you and I have sometimes disagreed. I've never seen anger as beneficial or profitable.
oh, I think it can be.
But you think it, and I've become more. I have more comfort with your position on this
Right.
now than I ever have. But you used that anger
The
that was
energy,
generated
right.
as a way of being able to overcome that
Well,
have to
because
should.
my family refused to pay a dime for me to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to work nights and go to school days. I did that for years. And there were many days when I would be like, I'm too tired. I don't want to go to class.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would get angry about, you have to go to class. You have to graduate. Two things are going to happen if you
Right.
don't. One, your family's going to be right, and they're going to say, you're a loser. We told you were a loser.
Right.
The other is you're going to have to go to Vietnam.
And
So-
who wanted to do that?
Yeah,
Not very
not
many
me.
people. But this is a place where I feel like that even the conversations that we have here has really helped me in my conceptualization as a therapist, because if somebody came to me and said, hey, I have these have to shoulds, but when I try and challenge them in my mind, I get really angry. And I would say,
Is there a way we can use that anger productively?
I now recognize that.
destructively.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. That
Because you
could
can go
be-
and act out and say, well, I was angry.
Right.
But that didn't cut any slack.
Mhm.
You still have ownership. You still have the cost of your
Right.
choices. So then I said, let's talk about emotional economics. You can make any choice you want to make. If you make it honestly, it requires you to say, choice A comes at this cost. Choice B comes at this cost. Now I knowingly
Right.
choose A or B.
But I think that I've come to understand that any time that you want to transition out of the have to should to a choose to should,
Right.
there's probably going to be some anger. And that's okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were lied to.
Mm-hmm.
The system was dishonest.
Mm-hmm.
And they attempted to put it
manipulative.
on you.
Right.
Because you're dumb. You don't understand. You don't see the world. That there's more than you know.
It makes you less than
Right.
if you try and change.
Right.
Yeah. That's good information. The music that appears in Psych with Mike is written and performed by Mr. Benjamin DeClue. And as always, if it's Friday, it's Psych with Mike and Brett. Shoot. I felt like there was something I was going to say before we started this, but I can't remember what it was. So I guess not.